So, well, someone who is not incestuous, but someone who might be described as carnal, would be our friend MC Lyte and the album Ain't No Other by 1993. We're going to, in the opener, you're going to hear the single off of this, Roughneck, and there really is only one choice for before the segment, and that's going to be Fuck That Motherfucking Bullshit.
Fuck that motherfucking bullshit. Kiss my motherfucking ass. Fuck that motherfucking bullshit. Kiss my motherfucking ass. You wanna what? You must be bucking. A minute and a half for having sex. That ain't loving. You couldn't.
Give me the numbers, Matt.
All right, so Ain't No Other by MC Lyte comes in at number, hang on, 11,761 in the 1990s on Best Ever Albums. Number 1,100 of 1993. Number 76,037 of all time. It is MC Lyte's third highest rated album on Best Ever Albums, behind 1989's Eyes on This and 1988's Light as a Rock. This did not make Ain't No Other did not make Rolling Stone's list. And MC Lyte is ranked number 15,883 of overall artist rankings on Best Ever Albums.
Well,
not very impressive numbers this week for MC Lyte on Best Ever Albums, John.
Well, and you know what I have to say about that, and you
What's
can't
that?
say that other title is Fuck That Motherfucking Bullshit. Kiss my motherfucking ass. You know, that's what I say about that one right there. So, I have all kinds of stories about this album, but I will save them for later. MC Lyte, born October 11th, 1970. Lana Michelle Moore is the real name. She is considered one of the pioneers of female rap. She first started releasing albums in the late 1980s and became the first female rapper to release a full solo album. So
it's
MC
this
Lyte's
point of
big in the
information.
game.
Is this the first solo female rap artist we've covered in our podcast?
Yes, in terms of an album.
In terms of an album, because I'm trying to think if there's been anybody else, and I don't. I mean, we've done R&B and but I don't think we've done a full blown female rapper.
Yeah, we haven't done like the other
Latifah,
ones in the era, Queen Latifah, Roxanne Shante. No, there's not really. We haven't done any of the female pioneers on this. So yeah, this is the first one.
Okay.
There won't be the last because we've got plenty, and she's influential. So she's born in New York City, which I think if you listen to her rap, it's pretty easy to figure out. She's got a strong New York City accent. Yeah, and in particular, a strong Brooklyn accent. For those that know, they know. And so Matt said yes, so he clearly does as well. She was in a supergroup named Stop the Violence Movement, which also had KRS-One and other members of Boogie Down Productions in it, and first featured on the song Self-Destruction, which was the inaugural #1 single on the Billboard Hot Rap Singles chart. So when they finally did a Billboard rap chart, the first single was Self-Destruction by Stop the Violence Movement. So a little bit of trivia for you there. MC Lyte was the first solo female rapper to chart on the Billboard 200. Also, she was the first woman to reach #1 on the Billboard Hot Rap Singles with Cha Cha Cha, which was a song before this album. She made the Billboard Hot 100 in 1991 with the single Poor Georgie. And her single off this album, Roughneck, made her the first solo woman rapper to achieve a gold certification from the RIAA. And we're going to be covering lots of other MC Lyte singles, but she became known as like a go-to collabo later in the mid-90s. There's all kinds of big hits that charted with her on it. So she is really well known for collaborating. She's collaborated with Sinead O'Connor, Will Smith, Mary J. Blige, Aerosmith, Moby, will.i.am, Beyonce, Jay-Z. We mentioned before all the members of Boogie Down Production. She's got big song You Want This with Queen Latifah and Yo-Yo, and we did do Yo-Yo on
That's
episode
like a
4.
supergroup song.
She's on the remix of I Want to Be Down with Brandy. She's got Keep On Keepin' On with Escape, Cold Rock a Party, which is one of Missy's earliest songs, and Puffy's on that one as well. So, I mean, there's all kinds of different stuff. So, I think probably in terms of some fun facts before we move in, she began rapping at the age of 16 in 1987. So that was when it kind of came here. So you figure 1993, 6 years later, she's only 22 years old on this album, which is kind of amazing. But she's like a 6-year vet at this point as well. She in 1990 she performed at Carnegie Hall, which I thought was very interesting. She also was on the first ever MTV Plugged Yo Unplugged Rap on May 1st, 1991, with Tribe Called Quest de la Soul and LL Cool J. And she rapped a song called Cappuccino, was the song on that. There's all kinds of different stuff, and I can weave in parts of her bio because she's got a very interesting bio, but I kind of wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of how much of a pioneer she is, and yet isn't really talked about as much as you'd think she'd be for all of like the boundaries she kicked down. So I am very, very curious to see this. This was definitely a John special being put in here, as you could tell by the numbers that Matt had right here. This album holds a special place in my heart because of the stories associated with it. I'm curious about this one. Josh, what'd you think?
Yeah, I really only knew her by reputation. She's always name checked by other artists, and especially in female rap as kind of like one of the pioneers. And so I hadn't heard her album before. I think I probably heard some of the singles she guested on though. I like this album. I didn't love it. I think it's a good kind of, not knowing her previous two albums that came out before this, I don't know if her style has changed at all. What I liked about this was kind of her aggressiveness and point of view and kind of the assertiveness that she brings with her rapping. It always sounds like she's yelling at times, so there's not like a lot of range in her rapping.
That's just Brooklyn conversation.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But there's a certain appeal to me for the way that she raps, and I feel like right from the get-go with their song Brooklyn, you have KRS-One introing her on the album, and then it goes into Brooklyn, which I feel like is a good statement song about her and about this album and kind of her viewpoint. And then you go right into Roughneck, which I think is a phenomenal kind of like head bobbing song in the lane of like Swiss Beats songs or other songs that just immediately grab you with a hook and with a catchy chorus. And she's not afraid to talk about sex on this and kind of from a woman's point of view, and just be all the things that men are on their rapping, but from a female point of view, and which I also appreciate. I really liked the song Lil Paul. That song was really funny, and the chorus is hilarious.
Yes, it is.
It's a revenge song basically about a man who fails to call her back, so she sleeps with his friend. I thought that was hilarious. There's a lot of good sampling on this song, on this album. I like the samples on Hard Copy, for example. It's there's a lot of strong horns on it. I think the production overall on this is pretty good, unlike a lot of other rap that comes later, or maybe even at this point we're so used to like multiple MCs on a song. It's really just her throughout most of the songs. There's not a lot of guest artists, and sometimes that's refreshing for me because sometimes I feel like artists overuse guest spots on albums. So I appreciate it here. I think it is a testament to an artist's strength if they can basically just go it alone on an album, in my opinion. And the overall, I think the album's a little long. I feel like I got the kind of, I feel like I understood what she was going for, and towards the end, I kind of found myself getting a little tired of kind of the repetition in terms of structure or delivery, I should say. But overall, I think the sampling's good. I think she is a really good rapper, and so I'm gonna give this one a thumbs up, like kind of like good to. It's not mid for sure, but I would say it's good. So yeah, check it out for sure.
Yeah, I think I only knew MC Lyte in name only, so I don't know if I could have named you any MC Lyte songs. There's probably singles that she had, maybe from one of those albums in the 80s that I would recognize. But I didn't recognize anything on this. And yeah, this strikes me as as an album, female rapper that's almost, trying to make it an attempt to say, women can do this. It's almost like gangster rap in terms of the like the way that it's aggressive. There is a lot of the rapping that she's doing is kind of like shouting or screaming. Probably shouting's a better word to say than screaming. But so there's a very aggressive edge to this that certainly a lot of male rappers, had, either at this time or before it. And it seems like it's to me, it seems like a statement that like women can do this too, right? We have a powerful voice, and we have things to say as well, and we can do this just as well as men can do. I would agree with you, Josh. I think it's a little bit long. I think that the production's pretty good. And there's lots of good beats on it. I really like the way that it starts, particularly with the first 3 or 4 songs. That just I think kind of set the tone and have good beats, and I do like her rapping, and I do like it when there's that thick New York accent in or Brooklyn, whether it's Brooklyn or another type of New York accent. To me, it's a very, it's kind of like a common thing to hear in rap, and it seems to flow well. Like that type of accent seems to flow well with a lot of rap songs, and it certainly does here as well. I think it does kind of wear on after a while. You're kind of like, okay, I get the idea. I would prefer her to be doing a little less shouting. I think the songs that I like, her rapping that I like more, or might be a little bit more toned down. But I know that that's partially, she's not really going for that a whole lot, So to me, it's kind of like if an album is lots of shouting in rap, I'm not as connected to that. Some of my favorite rappers are like Q-Tip and Snoop, and like smoother, kind of cooler flows rather than the in your face bravado and almost anger that you're getting in some of these songs. The fuck that motherfucking bullshit song is a lot, because it's just right in your face, and it's like this, like it's almost like a diss track going back and forth between the guy and MC Lyte. It's like, and that's another song. Yeah, it's like certain songs you can't just play, in all contexts, and that's certainly one of them. So it's kind of like, in some ways I think that it depends on the song, that can detract a little bit for me if it's something that, like, if I'm playing and I have to actively turn it down because I'm at work or I'm at home and I can't fully listen to it the way that I want to. It's, it makes it a little harder to listen to in certain contexts. But when you're in your car listening to it by yourself, you crank it up. It's like, wow, that's pretty, you also find yourself laughing. So I find myself in both camps there. So overall, it's a moderate thumbs up. Like I said, I think it's long. I think the aggressive nature sometimes is a bit much for me, but I certainly appreciate what she's doing here. I think there's some good beats and there are some funny lines in here, and she's certainly a strong presence, and more power to her for that. So I'm gonna go a slight thumbs up on what was a really unknown album and unknown artist to me going into this.
Oh gosh, well, the story of this album for me is that my buddy Ryan, when I would go to his house, he had like a basement area, and that's where we'd kind of go. We'd listen to music. We'd play video games from time to time. We'd sort of dick around, you know what I mean? Like fight each other, all the different stuff you do when you're like 13 years old, right? And then, go outside, then come in and just like chill out there as well. And so there would just be CDs that would go on. And at the beginning, it was sort of like you didn't want to haul your CDs around all the time. So, the CDs that were there from his dad were exactly what you'd expect, like 70s rock and stuff like that. So we were trying to collect our CDs, but we didn't have a lot of CDs because CDs were expensive. You know what I mean? Yep. And his lane was more hip hop, and I'd invested a lot more in rock CDs when I had the ability to get them and stuff. But I liked hip hop. It was just radio music for me. Yeah. So what ended up happening was we went up to his sister Erica's room and just snagged 6 rap CDs to bring down, just to kind of change the pace a little bit. And the first one we put on, and we knew Roughneck, but that was about all we knew of this one. It had just kind of come out, and we put this CD on, and I remember listening to it. And it's funny that you say the end, because how this one was is we would listen to the beginning of this. It was always like the middle of it was a little bit slow until fuck that motherfucking bullshit. And then it kind of got slow a little bit again, and then it ended on fire at the end. And so I hadn't heard this album in so many years, and I wanted to listen to it cold because I'm like, I'm gonna know like 8 songs like by heart on here, just the stuff that we would go immediately. So, the intro, Brooklyn into Roughneck, is great. And then so I'm waiting for like the first song after that. And then like Little Paul comes on, which is absolutely fucking hilarious. And then all the verses that we used to rap all the time, like immediately come back to you, like he did the poke a poke with the long strokes was always one that we used to like, and Cold Freak My Cheeks from the bed to the kitchen floor and stuff like that. And then it's like you said, like Paul, but also I believe like his like little brother is also a part of the plot as well. So that one's funny. I don't like, for years, whenever there would be something when people would come over and somebody would like be clowning around, or somebody wanted to like basically do it was almost like a meme before memes for us, because what would happen is like somebody would say something and then like either me or Ryan would go to the CD player and go, no, wait a second, we got something to say to that. And then we go right to number 8 and be like, yo, Lyte, you want to sing on this? No, man. No, what you mean no? And then it's like, fuck that motherfucker. And that was basically, it was like a walking joke. So like when that one came out, I was like, oh boy, it's like right here. And then later the steady fucking thing that do 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 like, yo, Lyte, and the KRS one comes on, which is fantastic. That's basically a diss song on Roxanne Shante. They both come from the same. They're on The Bridge, the track way back in the day, and they had a falling out. And I mean, that's a pretty brutal diss track. I mean, she hits Roxanne Shante from all angles on that. And then I always have found Whose House to be extremely funny. It's there's one line, I'm trying to remember what it is. It's like something, and he goes, "'Cause I'm a male chauvinist," and stuff like that. And I remember coming on and laugh. It's basically like the boys trying to like impress MC Lyte. She's like, "All right, you did a pretty good job. Like, I'm only gonna give you one chance to do this, and you weren't half bad." So she's still running the show, even though it's there. And then I can remember the I Crammed to Understand You remix being on the radio near me as well. So that's how it ended. But this is, it's the rare burst of sentimental rap for me. I just, growing up where I did, like, I like the Brooklyn MC style. I like an aggressive MC. Don't get me wrong. I like somebody with, flavor and layback too. But there's just something about, like, a certain type of hip hop that's coming at you gritty and raw. And even though this has a little bit more humor and I guess a little bit of a feminine sensitivity, although she's doing the male tropes as well, it's sort of similar to like Wu-Tang, where there's just a grit to New York hip-hop that just and even later, we haven't done like Biggie and stuff, but there's a griminess to it, which I like and I always connect with, and this is a good example of it. It's like they're not reinventing the wheel on the beats. The sample choices are solid. The flow is good. MC Lyte has a really good flow. She's got authority on the mic, a style you could recognize immediately, and she's funny. And you don't know when she's being serious and when she's just sort of clowning around, telling tall tales. So this one is a recommend for me. Even if I didn't know this album, I still think it would be kind of where Josh is at on it. But when you add in the elements and just the highs on this are so entertaining that, and Roughneck's a truly great 90s hip hop track. It really is. It's a great song. It's amazing that song only has 4.6 million views or listens on Spotify.
It's kind of like so lost, if it's not been, put in a music in a video or not a video in a movie or a TV show. So if that ever happens, it'll probably like go. Which is
funny because like most people now who know MC Lyte would know her from like Keep On Keepin' On, which was from a movie soundtrack, and Cold Rock a Party, which was also from a soundtrack. So those are probably the two songs that most get out of the 90s when people think of her. But Roughneck in its time was a big song. So
yeah, good stuff.